see some residential growth. As Lisa mentioned, we've not seen a lot of residential growth in the past few years. Electric rate competition, and I'm going to cover that in the wholesale electric rates at the same time. There's just some issues with the power agency, with the fixed debt that we have. They're working on some things to try to restructure the debt, which will give us some temporary relief, but again, our wholesale rates just make us a little non-competitive in the electric system. But as that debt is retired, we will become more competitive in the future.
When will that debt be retired again?
2018?
That's when it's supposed to be retired. There's a movement underfoot right now to restructure all of the debt and take it out to 2032. So
Did they not try that just a couple, 2-3 years ago?
they did, but there's a new push for
That was refinanced the whole system about 2 or 3 years ago. And then so many people came in and was talked against it, especially some of our big customers. Not only here, but in the other areas. It's 18, isn't it?
That's 2020 when the debt would be,
Yeah, well,
the majority of it would be retired, but it's well on its way to be restructured and take all of it.
I'm not so sure the same folks that spoke out last time are not going to step up this time also.
The horse is out of the gate already.
Well, I don't know what is good and what's the best or whatever, but if they keep financing, we're not going to ever get it paid off.
I'm there with you.
The system's
It's
going to be,
always there.
it's like refinancing a car, the system's going to be wore out before we get it paid for.
The General Assembly playing any part in this, the way that they're
It's just between the power agency and the local government commission. Moving on, the final weakness is lean staffing, and that can be an issue if we have widespread issues or problems, but we do have ways of taking care of that. Moving on to opportunities, ongoing employee training and development is something we've got to stay up on. Both the electric and gas industries are changing. We need to stay abreast of those changes. And particularly since we have some key employees retiring, we need to make sure we're providing for a smooth transition as those folks retire. Another opportunity is in our pay and incentive plans. We need to make sure we're paying competitive pay and benefits to our employees to make sure we can retain them and continue the service level that our customers have grown to expect. And we need to make sure that we've got incentive and merit plans in place that reward folks when they do a good job. Load growth is an opportunity for us. The gas system has a large territory. We've been able to expand the gas system. We need to continue to look for opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities to expand the gas system. Both utilities need to see the corporate center and Airpoint fully developed. We need to see the Camp Sutton area redeveloped. We like the idea of a new industrial park and think that would be great for us. We also need to see residential growth for both utilities, and for both the utilities, it'd be ideal to have high-density residential growth. We've got the infrastructure in place, and the more customers we can connect to it, the better off the utilities will be. Again, wholesale rate reduction, we've talked about that. That will be an opportunity for us when we can get the debt retired. And new technologies, there's both utilities are seeing great advances in technology. Things like smart metering, mobile technologies, high efficiency appliances. We just need to make sure we're staying abreast of those changes, that we're making plans to capitalize on those that improve our operations and make sure we minimize the negative impacts of any of the things that come along. Another opportunity may be fiber to the home. As you know now, the state has some very restrictive legislation on expansion of the fiber network for us, but there's movements at the federal level to overturn those state laws. So we just need to keep aware of those things. And finally, our threats. Our biggest threat is employee-based. It's loss of further employees and possible more low morale. We've already seen a third of our line technicians leave. And if we don't do something to improve our pay scales, we're going to see a continuation of that loss. And I want to just give you an idea of the pay differential for a line technician. A top line technician in Monroe is making $5 an hour less than our neighboring utilities. That's
And it's
10
union power and,
That's $10,000 a year difference. In addition, one of the other utilities is paying for family medical coverage. So for one of our employees that's passed the health assessment, that's another $9,000 a year. So we're looking at almost a $20,000 differential in pay for a top line technician. Another thing I want to make sure we understand is the electric and gas industry employees nationwide are aging. 50% of the employees in the electric and gas industry are 50 years or older. Over the next 5 to 15 years, there's going to be half of the electric industry leaving for retirement. So again, it just stresses the fact that we need to be, make sure that our pay is competitive so that we don't lose more employees as other utilities have retirements taking place.
what kind of succession plan do we have for your borough management?
We have several folks in place that are being brought along to take care of things.
Yeah, I know you were here with Hugo, so that means you've been here with us.
I'm one of those old folks that's going to be
He's one of those
retiring in the
that
next
5
5 years, but we have several folks that we're bringing along to be ready to step in if that's the choice of the city manager.
Let me ask you a question. This your line employee is paid out of general fund, or does that come out of the electric?
It's out of the electric and gas funds. So
I think the mayor, you and Larry need to get with Don and work on that. I mean, that's ridiculous. If we're losing key people like that, you don't replace people like that.
And both of those funds have very healthy fund balances right now.
Another threat is that the electric and gas prices could increase. You know, we think that our projections are for electric and gas prices to stay relatively where they are now. But there's no guarantees to that. Things could change and we could be faced with higher rates. Negative or restrictive legislation. I've heard lots of times that anytime during the session in Raleigh we're not safe, and that's true for the electric and gas utilities as well. But they could take up legislation for pole attachments or territory laws or competition, restricting natural gas exploration and things that could have impacts on us. Terrorism and vandalism, third-party damage are always threats to a utility. And to some extent, loss of a large industrial customer could be a threat to us in that with our slow customer growth, loss of a large industry would put a lot of rate pressure on our other customers if we let behind. Again, I thank you for the opportunity to talk with you, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Subject to your questions, I'll be followed by Pete with tourism.
Who's going to man the camera?
It's on autopilot.
People hard camera.
Go ahead, look up close.
Where is it hogging the camera?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about tourism. Mayor serves as the chairman of the tourism board, and I know sometimes you all might not be aware of everything we're doing, so this is a good opportunity for you to hear some of the stuff that we are doing. Some of our strengths: we have a higher increase in hotel occupancy, tax collections since last May, the Holiday Inn Express opened. So we've seen our hotel occupancy dollars increase about 30% since that time. Very significant. It's our first new hotel in more than 11 years. which has been very good for the city, without taking away from our other hotels. We've identified a project, a public-private partnership, which is the Center Theater, working with them, working with downtown. We do have a good bit of money in the bank for the capital project, have about $1.6 million in the bank. We're investing about $500,000 into the Center Theater at this time, and we'll talk about some other options that we have. We do have a steady stream. We are seeing travel, just like the economy's starting to bounce back. Travel is a big piece of that, so we are seeing it across the board, statewide, national trend. Travel's up 8%. Locally, like I said, we're seeing about a 30% increase because of the new hotel. We have established event with the air show. With our air show continues to grow each year. We're probably almost at our max because we literally can't hold any more people at our airport. We have an established capital asset that was purchased out of tourism, which is the Tinkerbell. We bought that for a little over $200,000 each year. It probably costs tourism about $40,000 each year to operate it. We do bring in about $30,000 or so in revenue from it, and we take it to shows up and down the East Coast, promoting Monroe, promoting Monroe's aerospace, and we do have local industries involved in its repair, maintenance, and operation.
What about the
Yes, sir.
the engines? What kind of shape are those engines in?
Engines are in good shape, and great question, Councilman Jordan. We purchased a spare engine. It took 3 years to get. We purchased it, took them a year to build it, so we actually have a fully operational, 100% new spare engine, just in case one of those engines do go down. We won't be down a whole year waiting on a new one. We could just change it, and that cost us about $84,000 just for that extra engine.
And am I correct in assuming that a plane is designed so if one of the engines have to just quit, that one it is able to land with one engine?
Yes, sir. It can't operate with one engine, especially the way we operate it. We don't have it at full cargo capacity, so that kind of limits it. If an engine does go out, we'll land wherever we're going and get that other engine there, but it can land with one engine and operate. Yes,
We
ma'am.
got other people trained to fly it now, because at one time we were having trouble.
Currently we have 2 people that are 100% certified to fly it. One is a local gentleman out of Matthews. One is a 75-year-old gentleman out of Florida
I suggest you get another crew.
that we use in case of emergencies. And currently we have 2
I
guys
won't be flying with you.
in the Cary Raleigh area that we should have certified within the next month. And they're all commercial pilots and all very familiar with these.
Is that right? At the Anderson Air Show, I think I'll pass.
That's the 75-year-old flying.
That's right. And granted, we haven't used him in 2 years, but he is there in case we need him because there are no pilots certified for this aircraft.
And you were having trouble with that, so I was
We are.
curious.
Again, we do have an involved and supportive tourism board. It's a very diverse board. We have hotel, we have attraction, and we have restaurant folks on our board. And currently we have about 800 plus hotel rooms in the city of Monroe. That's pretty good, varying levels of quality and quantity. So, moving on to our opportunities. Look, we have nowhere to go but forward. I talked about this in our branding. For tourism, we don't have an attraction, so anything we do is going to be good for the city. We do have community participation, by the air show. Everybody comes out to the air show. People in this community want to see something. They want to see something. They want to have something they can hang their hat on. Again, we do have a concept for a tourism capital project, which is the theater, but we're also in the works of talking about this science center. You've heard me kind of touch on that a little bit. We're still in the fact-finding process of that, trying to figure out the feasibility of something like that. We have very willing hospitality partners. The hotels want to see something. They want to be able to offer their patrons and draw folks into Monroe and have something to offer them. Comes to our downtown catalyst. Again, we want to look at the science center somewhere in the downtown area to draw people into downtown, get them off the boulevard, get them into the city. Again, we have a lot of potential partnerships with the country club, with the aquatic center, that we just need to expound on more, offering different vacation or stay and play type packages with the hotels, get them to offer the people that are staying there hey, stay here, here's a half-price round of golf if you stay at our hotel. Since we have that asset, we could kind of look at something like that.
But, do you have a site in mind for the science center? to keep
We have a couple sites that we've looked at. We'd like to keep it within the confines of not smack dead in the middle of downtown, but we'd like to keep it in downtown. And we've actually looked at a site near the library.
Oh,
Kind of in that site, that area. And it could be a good catalyst for
okay.
revitalization.
Not where the Joffrey Hotel was located?
No, we're looking at an existing structure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were looking, well, we're open to anything. If the existing structure fits the needs and is within the budget we could afford, then we'd look at that. If not, we could look at building. Like I said, we have about $1.6 million in the budget, with a couple $100,000 of that committed to the theater.
It would cost much more, Pete, probably to build a structure there.
Yes, sir.
On, depending on what the land situation is.
Yeah.
What you pay for an old building, the time you fix it up,
Right.
you better off to build a new one
That's a bad old building.
for the same amount of money or less. And if you paid a few dollars more, and I don't mean $1 million more,
Right.
a few dollars more, you still better off.
Right. I agree, and that's why we're in the process of kind of gathering all that information now.
Well, those hotel sites, as Mr. Jordan said, might not be a bad thing to look at.
Okay. Well, we could definitely look at that and definitely consider it.
It'd probably be real cheap.